Hey guys, welcome back to Prep Talk on Prepping in Progress. I'm Steve, and today we're going to be building on some of the thoughts and ideas that were brought out in our Keeping Up with Prepper Jones video. We're primarily going to be spinning off and talking about setting your preparedness goals. So stay with me. Okay, so why I'm laughing so much is this is like take 4 or 5 of even starting the video. I just get tongue-tied, and I swear the next time around I'm going to say them all, and we're going to do a blooper reel at the end. So there's that. Preparedness goals. In Keeping Up with the Joneses, and I will put a tag up here for that video, we discussed how it is difficult for a beginning prepper to come in and hear, well, I've got 10 years of food, and I've got 300 firearms, and I've got this and I've got that, and think, oh my goodness, I have to have it all right now. So let's start at the very beginning. You have awakened, you've recognized the perilous nature of life, the universe, and everything. You see that things could go sideways real quick, and you want to be prepared. Don't panic. It's going to be okay. Now that you're aware of a problem, you can begin to fix it. Start by setting aside an amount, a weekly amount out of your budget for preps. You do not have to have 1 year of beans and rice set aside tomorrow. Now, what I would suggest is take a look at where you live, your geography, okay? Take a look at what are the common threats that you face. For instance, I grew up in Tornado Alley, up north. In Nebraska in the winter, you get multiple feet of snow, multiple weeks of snow. So, where do you go from there? Well, you need to be prepared for a tree knocking out the power line. Okay. How long is the usual response time for your power company? A day and a half, 2 days at the most. Is your heat electric? Okay. Alternate heat source, minimum of 2 days. Preferably a week. Okay. Go at it from that perspective. Go at it from, okay, tornado, do I have a basement with cinder block walls that I can weather a tornado warning in, a tornado watch in, that I can, survive a tornado if it happens to come across my home? Okay, I can. Well, how many days do you think, worst case scenario, I get blocked in? 3 to 5 days. Okay, so you set aside 3 to 5 days worth of water, 3 to 5 days worth of food in your tornado shelter, your basement, your pantry, whatever room in the house that is. And then go from there. All right. Start with small goals, guys. And those are your immediates, for lack of a better term. When I say immediates, I mean these are the things that you can fix for tomorrow. Now, we look at long term, and a lot of us worry looking at the economy, looking at the delicacy of our infrastructure, whether it transport food along the highways. Okay. A lot of us worry about these bigger threats and bigger concerns. You know, what happens if the economy tanks? What happens if the petrodollar is suddenly on someone else's reserve currency instead of the US dollar? You know, where would America stand? Okay, great. Mind blown. Oh my goodness, I've got to get 10 years worth of beans and rice tomorrow. No, you don't. Okay, don't. Start with first what we already talked about, your immediate threat. Then begin that weekly budget. How much do you spend eating out? How many times a week do you go to McDonald's, Subway, Burger King? Love Burger King. Especially when they used to have the cheese sticks. But anyway, that's another story. You go from there. Cut your eating out in half, just half, as a starting point. Begin to cook your lunches at home. Take the money saved and put it into, I'm going to buy 4 buckets, $4 or $5 buckets this week. 20 bucks in buckets. Okay, I've got the buckets. I'm going to order my Mylar bags from Amazon. If you're like me and you drink a lot of coffee, okay, a lot of coffee, save your coffee containers. We talk about it in, I believe, the Prepper Jones video. And get the smaller Mylar bags and put your beans and rice and whatnot in those and stack them in your used coffee containers. Trust me, we'll do more food videos. And then spend $2 and buy a small 2-pound bag of pinto beans, a small 2-pound bag of lentils, and just one at a time. You know, once you have the buckets, once you have the Mylar, once you have those things to store them in, take that budget money that you just spent to get your buckets and your Mylar and pick up several 2-pound bags. You don't have to buy the 20-pound bag today if that's not in your budget. If it is in your budget, go get it. Go to it. And begin to set those aside. If you get in small doses, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. Prepping is a lifestyle, not a fad for many of us. Prepping is a marathon, not a sprint. Unless you are Bill Gates or someone like that, you're not going to end up with everything you ever need to survive the end of the world as you know it in 2 days or even in a month, because I mean, even expedited building some of the bunkers and all that neat stuff isn't going to happen, period. Having all that stuff delivered to your house isn't going to happen overnight. Even if you could buy 10 years worth of food right now, it won't be here right now. Okay? So, bite-sized goals. Say you have a little bit more disposable income. Okay, I'm going to set aside in my storage area 40 pounds of rice this month. And break it up. Do 10 pounds of rice a week. If it's not in your budget, say over 4 months, I'm going to do this. And every month, set aside 10 pounds. Here's the deal. Once you start to have that saved up and set aside, you're going to get used to having that in your budget. And you may find that, well, I cut my eating out in half. I really don't need to eat out as much. I've been cooking my lunches more at home. I've been doing more food prep. You know what? I'm going to blow off all eating out, except for maybe once a month. And suddenly that money goes into your preps. You're suddenly more conscious of turning off the lights every time you walk out of a room. You don't run the dishwasher every 5 minutes for 4 dishes. You don't leave the light on in the laundry room. You unplug the microwave so that the clock isn't completely always blinking and always doing a draw. You unplug the coffee pot. You begin to find ways to save money. And then you begin to reallocate those to other things. You know, to your beans and rice, to your high velocity lead throwers, to your skills classes, to your storage unit. You know, you might spend the money and bring out a shed and have that built on your property for your stuff. You might rent a storage unit. You might start saving that money for a bug out location. All these things are options. You know, you might start debt piling, as in paying off your debt. You might consolidate all of your high interest credit cards onto a low interest one with a balance transfer and start picking that apart. And then suddenly that payment's gone. And then you're putting that into your food preps now too. Bite-sized goals. So first, start with, what is my immediate problem? What is my most likely immediate problem? Figure out what you need to get through that immediate problem. Then figure out how to extend it. I would say pick a goal of 3 months worth of supplies. Once your immediate is set up, 3 months. And slowly build toward that. James Wesley Rawls' book, How to Survive the End of the World as We Know It, has tables and charts of how much food, how many calories per person, per active or inactive you would need. And you can use that to plan what you want and calculate how much you want to get. And as I say, immediate, 3 months, then shoot for 6. So you're doubling what you have. Double that again. And okay, now I've got all of this here. Okay, I know what it looks like in my closet. I know how many buckets tall the stack is. I know how many cases of MREs, if you're going to go that route. How many cases of dried raisins. How many I need for 6 months. Okay, so I double that in my head. And you start to build that stockpile up. And keep in mind, you are always moving the oldest to the front and the newest to the back. That way you can access the oldest stuff first and move it, use it even, and then replace. Okay? So, we've gone from 3 months to 6 months. Now let's double it again and go for 12. All of a sudden you're going to wake up one day and say, hey, I've got my year's worth of food. Okay, now I'm going to maintain this, but I'm going to start looking at what I'm preparing for in addition to. And at this point, I have a theory. It's mine. Kim understands it but doesn't always agree with it, because it does bring back the big chunks instead of taking things in small bite-sized pieces. My personal theory: choose your fear. Okay? If you think that an EMP is the most devastating, oh my goodness, threat that you would have to deal with, most all-inclusive threat that you might have to deal with, choose that one. That is my personal. Okay? Choose that one and then start breaking it down. Learn everything you can about it and then start looking. Now, some people will say, well, civil unrest is mine. Cool. Go for it. Some people will say, a loss in the power grid. Okay. Cool. Some people will say, government overreach. Okay. Some people are going to say, the economic system collapses. I forgot the word economics for a second. And okay, cool. Now for me, personally, an EMP encompasses all of those. If the EMP takes place, you're going to have power outage. Complete and total. Hopefully not, but probably. Your vehicles may or may not work. Your vehicles not working is going to lead to food not being transported to the grocery stores. Food, gas, etc. not being transported to the grocery stores can lead to civil unrest within 3 to 5 days, and suddenly we look like Venezuela. Okay? So for me, that's a progression of things that encompasses many different problems that we could see. Alright. So, I've picked my big elephant. I've chosen my elephant. How's that? So I start figuring out how to bite him and take him down to bite-sized pieces. Well, first, research the CME, coronal mass ejection, or EMP effects, and begin to plan for that. Begin to research the possibilities of vehicles going down. Which vehicles will probably not, which vehicles may. Last year's Air Force report actually came out and said that they believe 80% of modern vehicles will not be affected. Do I completely believe that? I don't know. It seems a little too good to be true, and usually when it's too good to be true, it is. However, they're looking at research that I haven't seen, and they're putting out, once again, they don't put out which vehicles they tested. They just tell you 80%. So if you have multiple vehicles, you might be in good shape. But plan for the possibility of your vehicle not working. Research ways to possibly reset the computer in your vehicle. Research ways to replace the computer in your vehicle and have a pre-programmed body control module in a Faraday cage or buried 8 feet underground in your basement. Put it in your basement, put it in a concrete room. Make sure there's no rebar that acts as an antenna, but you know what I'm saying? Bite-sized chunks again out of your chosen elephant. But we're moving now from an easy start, getting started, getting the ball rolling, and suddenly you have found yourself, once again, this is after you've got a minimum of 1 year of food stored up. You wake up and you're sitting much better than you were. I won't say you're sitting pretty, but you're sitting where you can worry about the big things, the end of the world as we know it, the zombie apocalypse, whatever your elephant is. Now you are in a solid foundational position to move forward and to start taking control not only of your life, you've taken control of your life, but start taking proactive measures against the big threats that the longtime preppers have been talking about. More pullover shirt and coffee mug. Great guy. You really should check him out. Actually, I think we share quite a bit of the viewer base. So, anyway, guys, that's about it. Take things one bite at a time, and one day you'll find out that you've already eaten the elephant's leg. So, good luck. Godspeed. Feel free to contact us either in the comment section or jump over to the Facebook page, and we can go into more depth on how to do this, and I'll give you whatever thoughts and advice I can. This is a very generalized video. Go ahead and check out Ozark's Prepared. If you don't know who NWA Prepper is, go check him out. So, good luck, God bless, and we will see